using properties of operations when multiplying and dividing more than two numbers. -8 times 6 divided by -2 times -4 times 3. Although it's easy to see that the answer to this equation is a negative number, you may not realize that the properties of operations allow us to reach this conclusion. You'll want your students to know that a negative times a negative times a negative is a negative because this simplifies the math. You don't need to carry the signs through the calculation. Let's prove this is true for the example problem. Because division is not commutative or associative, we can rewrite the problem using only multiplication. -8 times 6 times -1/2 times -4 times 3. Next, we will factor a -1 for each of the negative numbers. So -1 times 8 times 6 times -1 times 1/2 times -1 times 4 times 3. Using the commutative property, we can reorder the terms. So we start off with all the -1s, and we have -1 times -1 times -1 times 8 times 6 times 1/2 times 4 times 3. Multiplying the -1 by -1, we get a +1, and multiplying the +1 by -1, we get a -1. Hence, -1 times -1 times -1 equals -1. Using the associative property, we can group 8 times 6 and 4 times 3 to simplify further. So -1 times 48 times 1/2 times 12. Then, using the associative property again, we find the product of the last three terms is 288. So our solution is -288.